All right, hello, friends, and welcome back to the Gaming Dad Fujo podcast. This is episode number 24, being recorded on May 29th, 2024. I am Fujosovich, former professional Hearthstone player, currently working as an analytical chemist in the pharmaceutical industry. And this is a place where we talk about all the things that we used to talk about on our streams and our daily YouTube videos. Instead of interrupting myself with talking about whatever Hearthstone plays or whatever game we're playing, we're going to interrupt ourselves with other topics. And on today's episode, we will be talking about, at the very least, PokeRogue. Of course, more PokeRogue talk. Mario 64 being beaten without using the A button, the Circle Season 6, and so much more. Let's get started. He's got no time to play video games. He's the gaming dad, Fujo. Nailed it. Okay, so of course we're gonna start this off with the classic friendly reminder. If you're listening on the YouTubes, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications. If you're listening on the Spotify and wherever else you find your podcasts, follow, rate, hit us with the 5 out of 5. Always leave your comments. Always give great gaming dad suggestions for games that we can squeeze in with our limited gaming dad time, like we're always looking to be doing. And we're going to start off by talking about one of the greatest gaming dad games that we've come across in a long while, PokeRogue. We talked about it last episode. It's sweeping the nation, sweeping the globe. It's a roguelike Pokemon game where you just try and get through originally during your classic mode 200 waves of Pokemon battles, not back to back to back, and healing's a challenge and your resources are challenging. And collecting Pokemon is challenging. And what have we done so far? We unlocked Poltergeist, which is a Pokemon I'm not familiar with. I don't know a lot of the most recent generations of Pokemon, so some of them are surprising to me. It's Grass Ghost. I got it shiny, which is good, so I've been trying to include it. But the grass is makes it a little challenging. I still haven't beaten Classic mode. But also I said last episode, I was like, we're going to beat it by next episode. But you know what? With our limited gaming dad gameplay time, I don't really take that many attempts. And I know people post online, oh, I beat it by accident. I just accidentally picked up this fairy steel type and dominated all of the bosses. That it happens. Again, like I said, I'm not super familiar. Pokemon on its surface is a very simple game. You know, fire beats grass, grass beats water, water beats fire. It's really simple at the highest level, right, of the way the game works with the weaknesses. And then you have the stats, and then you have the IVs, and then you have all these extra layers of things that I'm unfamiliar about in the game. And so it's actually really interesting to kind of get back into Pokemon through this very free, very accessible game. So I have that shiny, like I just said, Poltergeist, which really helps. The shinies help after every round you get bonus items. And I actually got another shiny, Sentret, which is no good in my opinion, but it only costs 1, so it's really cool resource way in case you didn't know. But obviously, I think a lot of PokeRogue's getting very, very popular. But for those who don't know, when you start out at a run, you go from the pool of Pokemon. Either you can start from the starters when you very first start the game, from all the different generations, or any Pokemon that you've ever caught, and any of your previous runs. So Sentret only costs 1 resource. You have 10 resources. Something like I actually hatched a Kyogre, legendary, which is excellent. Costs 9 resources, 9 out of your 10 possible resources. So that's a big commitment to throw in Kyogre. But Sentret only costs 1 in a shiny, and Poltergeist only costs 4 or 5, something like that. It's a pretty cheap one, but also shiny. So now I'm going to start my next run, probably tomorrow, because I'm at wave 145, which is a very big, challenging wave where you have to face your rival. Of course, there's a rival, which is excellent. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose once I go to play it, and that's fine. I'm going to start my next run up with a couple shinies now. Increase the rewards. We're going to try and snowball. I know it seems like the meta right now is you need some steel fairy types to help you push through. And I think maybe we'll focus on that. Maybe get a good ice attacker as well. Get a good ice attacker, find a fairy steel types, and we'll see what it is exactly that we can do. But in other interesting PokeRogue news, we'll get a little less self-indulgent. But like I said, we will update when we do beat our very first classic run for next episode, I think. PokeRogue servers were down May 23rd. a DDoS attack. They host their servers on Cloudflare, and they're very quick to report DDoS whenever servers drop like this. And so the devs actually very, very good at communication. They said the servers were taken down as a precaution of possible DDoS. It's usually malicious, and intent is kind of it could have been a malicious thing, but it also could have just been the fact that the game has been getting really, really popular the last month, the last couple weeks even, I'd say. And there's just a massive influx of new players. So it could be like, the people reported like the total player count at any given time was 2,000 to 5,000. And last week when the servers went down, it was around into the tens of thousands. So maybe the servers just weren't prepared for that much. There's a couple of online jokes about Nintendo DDoS, that Nintendo is obviously not happy. But again, we've talked about lawsuits, and these people aren't making any money. They've recreated all their own assets, so they're kind of safe at this point. And then there was also that risk of if you were trying to load into your game, that you'd be losing things during that time while the servers were down and coming back up. I don't think I lost anything. I logged in a couple times. But yeah, these DDoS attacks, they're not new. What do we do? What do we look into? Before 2007. So basically, okay, so let's go farther back in time. 1996 was basically the first reported one against Panix, New York's oldest ISP, which is kind of cool. And then in 2000, there's a big one in 2000 by a Canadian teenager in the early 2000s who went after Amazon, eBay, Yahoo, Dell, CNN, and FIFA all at the same time. So that was huge. And then 2007 is when the first reported Estonian government reported that key agencies were attacked and targeted by these DDoS attacks. And they suggested that foreign agencies may have been responsible. So sometimes, these attacks are a little more serious when it becomes government cyber warfare. And sometimes it's just silly games like PokeRogue, and people make silly memes about it when they can't play their favorite new video game instead of doing something else with their time, which is fine. But speaking about excellent video games, Super Mario 64 has been beaten by a person for the first time without using the A button. Now this is a really in-depth topic and strategy that goes into it. So by no means am I an expert, but we're going to talk through it at a very high level. So this was completed. It was an 84-hour run by Twitch streamer Marbler. So massive shout outs to Marbler for getting this done. For those who don't know, somehow the A button with Mario jumps. So if jumping is Mario's thing, and it kind of is, this challenge is incredible, that it's taking away the core of what Mario does and trying to beat, a really, really interesting game in Mario 64. Very popular, still getting speed runs in all sorts of different categories. We talk about these speedruns pretty often, right? There's all these different ways and different categories, even within a game of 100%. You have to collect all in Mario 64, you're getting the stars, or just any percent, just get enough stars to be able to face Bowser and beat Bowser. Glitches, no glitchless, all these different categories. But this is just no jumping, no using the A button. So apparently this can be traced back. There's early, Mario 64 fan pages on the early internet days. And people just said, hey, how few jumps can you use to beat the game? So these types of runs have been done in the past using TAS, which is tool assisted speedruns. It's basically like an automated way to have inputs at exactly the frames that you want, and people go through very methodically, frame after frame, trying an input, let it play out, does work, doesn't work. They save that if it's good, and then go to the next thing. So TAS is really cool. Maybe we'll talk about other interesting speedruns. Actually thinking about one of the games that I played a lot as a kid. I'm sure there is a speedrun, and I'm sure there's a TAS for it, because if there's some cool game, especially old school games that you're into and you enjoy the speedrunning thing, go look up a TAS, because the TAS can just do things that are humanly impossible, to have inputs of, left and right at the same time, multiple button combinations that normally you wouldn't be able to do, having it at frame perfect moments, which is just really cool. So the whole TAS thing is a whole separate topic and incredibly cool. But let's get back a little bit into this run. So there is a 5-hour video by Bismuth online. If you want to look up the details of this challenge, it's it's going to be a really short 5 hours. I know it sounds weird to talk about 5 hours for No A Button Super Mario 64 speedrun, but it's really captivating. And then Bismuth actually just put out another video about this particular run, about the completion, this 84-hour speedrun, which is really cool. So I'm gonna go very high level. Like I said, I'm no expert at all. Go look at the Bismuth resources. That's basically where people start. At the very least, start. You know, they're 5.5, 6 hours worth of content to understand this. But the A presses in these no press speedruns have often been measured in half presses. So you can press the A button down, counts as a half press, and then release it later for your other half press. They can, because they have different functions in the game. Again, I'm no expert on how it's. I understand how it's used, but I'm not going into it because I'm not a Mario 64 speedrunner. I think roughly a few months ago, the game was getting beaten by people using roughly 12 A presses. And it's funny, like within this speedrunning community, people will argue about the half press and no press. And again, I'm staying out of it. So what happens here, again, there's I think one of the more wild segments. So first of all, there's just the basic getting around, right? So let's start at the most simple for the speedrun. Mario's supposed to jump on things, jump up places, jump on enemies, jump to hit blocks, all the classic Mario things. Even Mario 64, the way you get into the individual levels is by jumping into paintings. Now that's like a little, in the way some of this is done, the quote unquote easiest way this is done is in Mario 64. While you're running, you can press B, and you dive, and then you can press B and you roll out of it, which sends you upwards, which in a lot of times is enough. They refer to this as a dive recover. So this is often enough to get your vertical height that you need for a lot of jumps and into the paintings a lot of time. But there were just some absolutely, there's an incredible 10-minute setup in order to get an enemy that's off the screen, where you need to buffer and pause to have frame perfect inputs to have this enemy come over to you in order to have a 56% chance to be thrown in the correct direction to get you up over a spot that you couldn't get to otherwise because you can't use the A button to jump. And you don't find out if any of that 10-minute setup has failed until the very end of it. There's nothing in the game that will tell you because you're just playing the game. So it's just, they're these, you know, the basics of just getting around is challenging. And then there's ridiculous setups. I think in this, what did they say? There was in this particular 10-minute setup, it took 42 attempts before this like 10-minute setup worked and they were thrown the correct direction. It's just absolutely wild, while in a positive, incredible. I love this. Again, we always talk about the people who get so passionate about their games and their hobbies. And it's just, it's so much fun. And the last thing we'll talk about this is the fact that this was done on the Wii Virtual Console version of Super Mario 64, which again, within this speedrunning community, there's debate, and I believe it's you know, good-spirited debate, not angry in any sense, that there are some glitches that exist on the Wii version that do not exist on the N64, and because they were using the Wii Virtual Console, they were actually able to disable the A button, so it couldn't have been hit by accident, right? If you're holding your N64 controller, you could accidentally hit it and kind of mess up your whole run at, if it's 84 hours, you could do that at hour 72 and mess it all up. So, massive congrats to Marbler for being the first to achieve this. I'm sure people are going to keep, it's super popular now. People will continue to work on it, try and, you know, I'm assuming people will try to get the 84 hours down. Not that it's easy by any stretch. I'm not saying it's going to be easy by any stretch to commit that much time, but it's definitely something that's picked up a lot of attention. Massive shout outs to Marbler. That's just absolutely fantastic. Okay. Here's a funny segue into something completely unrelated. PGA Championship. Golfer, world ranked number 1 golfer, Scottie Scheffler was arrested outside the PGA Championship. at about 6 a.m. This was a news story that transcended golf, transcended sports, was being talked about everywhere. So there was a horrible, actually tragic accident outside of the golf course in Louisville, Valhalla, and the the golfers were allowed to still come in, and Scottie Scheffler is showing up and apparently drove around a police stop. The police stopped him. Were attempting to stop him. There was some miscommunication. There was some sort of altercation. Scottie Scheffler gets arrested, and he has a tee time that morning. And he's known as just one of the most laid back, down to earth, good guys there is. So for him to get arrested, his mugshot gets put out there. And the wild thing is, he gets released. He takes his mugshots. He does all this stuff. And he makes it back in time for his tee time, by like 10:30, that same morning. By the time apparently he was at the police department making jokes with people, super lighthearted, understood that no hard feelings, miscommunication. The golfers were told they were going to be allowed to make it around the police stop and stuff to make it in. And so like everything's wild. So he gets a green jacket the week before. 2 weeks earlier, has a newborn the week before this, and then a felony charge on your way to work. This is an absolutely full life. Yeah. What was the quote that I saw? There are decades where nothing happens, and months where decades happen. And that's look at that, like 3 weeks for Scottie here. Absolutely wild. There were already free Scottie mugshot t-shirts already up for sale, and then lots of pictures of the classic Tiger Woods picture of him walking past the fan wearing a Tiger Woods mugshot on a t-shirt, and Tiger was just looking down, like half smiling, because he knew he got there. So that was it was a massive story in the past couple of weeks, and I really enjoyed it. There's going to be, there were people, golfers tweeting out hashtag free Scottie, all that sort of stuff. Again, I think having fun with it, realizing that bit of a miscommunication, it was gonna be addressed, and I'm assuming charges dropped. Okay, next topic is near and dear to all of our hearts. Unfortunately, Red Lobster has filed for bankruptcy. That's a sad one. I like a good seafood dinner. I like a good seafood restaurant, and a lot of media outlets were very, I believe, disingenuously playing up it's because the endless shrimp, they were losing money on it. Probably they lost a little. It's simple, right? It's a very simplistic approach. It's funny. It gets shared online. It gets clicks. But this is really the bigger issue. Is there was a private equity, and we love digging into these financings, right? There was a private equity group that actually bought them up. This is a really scary thing about investor. We always talk about this. The investors, the big companies doing these things to squeeze out profit, because that's all that matters anymore, right? And so you squeeze out the profit and then you abandon it. It's not the fact that they were selling shrimp is too cheap. So this is actually a pretty similar story to what happened with Toys R Us, they're still in Canada, JCPenney, with Sears, things like that. So what happened is the private equity firm bought them all up, sold the land that they were on to one of their other subsidiaries to profit off of with rents, and then continue to increase the rents on all of, quote unquote, their own restaurants. It's just this weird money moving thing to squeeze extra profits out. And it's just this really, really strange thing. I mean, and then the story's like, well, why is it about endless shrimp? And it's like, well, it's because it's easier to believe that people are making bad decisions like endless shrimp, rather than just kind of evil in squeezing money out of stuff. It's easy to look at something like this and say, like, I wouldn't have made that bad decision. I wouldn't have given out endless shrimp. Instead of thinking like, well, maybe there's an imbalance in distribution of money on the planet, and those who are more advantaged are taking advantage of those who have less. That makes sense. I said that correctly. Yeah, and then of course there's the issue. I mean, we'll talk about we're going to talk about some journalism stuff later. Maybe we should jump to it now, actually. But all of the big news places are kind of bought and paid for, and there's no enforcement. You don't have to worry about facts. You don't have to worry about truth. You don't have to worry about anything. And it obviously matters more when you're talking about finances. You're talking about potentially publicly traded companies and information that's being spread about them, because then people will invest in them and their money can go to very bad play. We've seen all the finance documentaries in the world about these sorts of things, and we're not going to rehash any of that. But again, this is just another silly example of how the story's going to get spun one way when the reality is there was this private equity firm just squeezing out money until it's too late, of a business that was probably doing fine. Yeah, they were losing a little money on the endless shrimp, but they were still profitable until they got squeezed other places. And it's really unfortunate. And you know what? That's all. Just we'll go ahead and switch. We're talking about reporting of information. Well, some gaming reporting of information that's a little unfortunate right now. I was going to end on this story, but we'll squeeze a couple other things in here. IGN, big online gaming news, acquired Eurogamer, GI, VG 24/7, Rock Paper Shotgun, and a whole bunch of other online gaming news sites. This is bad. We've talked about this. So for years, we've seen it for decades, for while we were streaming and doing our YouTube videos and stuff. Consolidation within gaming is awful in most industries, but specifically the thing we like to talk about is the gaming industry. It gives people less choice. There's less competition. There's less innovation. We've talked about it, but then also, especially in gaming news, there's going to be less critical voices. There's going to be less actual quote unquote journalism. And let's be honest, in the gaming industry, journalism, quote unquote journalism, I'll keep doing the quotation marks here, has always been bad. Because if you give a company, if I'm reviewing a game and I give an Ubisoft game a bad review, the next time Ubisoft is giving the advanced looks, they're not going to want to give me the next Assassin's Creed 14, because they might be worried that I'm going to write something bad about it. So they'll give it to other people who are going to just fall in line and say 9.3 out of 10, the best Assassin's Creed ever. Because we know the way that the internet formula works, those ones will get out first, and we'll always have all the clicks and all the search engines, and everything will continue to cycle to them. And it's really, really unfortunate, because there's going to be less real critical articles on these topics. And then also, let's take a look at the fact that there's all these companies all under one umbrella, and there's going to be a lot of people who lose their jobs. Because why would you need all these people doing the exact same work when you can definitely cut a bunch of them? Keep some of the websites up and running and all that, because they're well-known commodities and have good traffic. And unfortunately, that's definitely the way it's going to work. You can watch within the next 6 months, within the next year, how many of these are going to have layoffs, how many of these are going to have groups coming together. And unfortunately, there's going to be a couple of execs making, their big 6-figure salaries, and probably with these short-sighted decisions are going to be getting their big 6, maybe 7-figure bonuses. And maybe because we already see the playbook coming, maybe we could be one of those execs and take that cash. But I think we would probably make better decisions, which is why we'll probably not make it there, among other reasons. Let's switch topics to something a lot more lighthearted. The Circle Season 6. Let's do a little recap. Part reality show, part social experiment. We've talked about this before, I believe, but it's been a year since it's, we only season once a year. People are put into into these apartments, and the only contact they have with anyone is with each other, the other players in the quote unquote the Circle game, through this Circle social media app that they have access to. And then you get to know each other, you build relationships, and eventually you play these like silly games, and you'll vote people off. Right, and then new people will come in, and you'll get to know them, and you can, become friends with them or challenge all this sort of stuff, right? So this season, season 6, I think was actually pretty solid overall. I think there was a couple. Let's go overall good. Overall good. Let's be a little critical though, right? Because we want to keep a. I know we're always going to keep a positive outlook on everything we talk about. Really, we can still be critical while we're being positive, right? The production in this season was weird. There were some lighting issues where like things started to get grainy in in 2024 HD cameras, excellent lighting. That just doesn't happen anymore, which is a strange thing. It also seemed like some of the contestants were kind of low energy, and then also usually it's pretty fast paced of, have an episode, introduce everyone, ends on a cliffhanger of we're going to do a ranking to see where everyone lines up. And then next episode, someone gets eliminated. Then someone shows up, then eliminated, then shows up. And then this season, there was like 4 episodes in a row where no one showed up or got eliminated. And you're kind of watching like, okay, it's cool. And there's alliances forming, and there's this thing. And they had like a potentially AI player come in one again, because you create your profile, quote unquote profile, where you post pictures. And so some people will try and catfish. Some people will be who they are. People will try and flirt, all this stuff. So there's a debate online whether it was actually the producers or whether it was actual AI, but the show claimed they had an AI bot join as one of the members of the circle and was actively talking, and they showed like this just like computer basically whenever that person would be interacting and stuff. The only other issue I believe is that this game, I mean, it's a game where we were talking about gaming here with Gaming Dad Fujo. It's become there's kind of become a meta. Because, we talked about Hearthstone, right, all the time. Not so much anymore, but we used to for the past, decade, right? And there's always a meta in Hearthstone. And we know one of my downfalls was always trying to go off meta with my limited playtime. Should have just gone meta, pushed to Legend, then been silly. I've done that now, offline, which isn't nearly as useful necessarily, but we've done it, which is cool. Getting Legend is fun, not going to lie. But there's a meta in the circle now where people show up and they're instantly, let's get alliances. Let's instantly start picking off weaker people. Instantly, all this stuff, you know what I mean? And I understand it, but it's become super strategic, which it always has been, but it just, in the past, people haven't been so directly like, I need alliance, I need to eliminate people, all this sort of stuff. That being said, the person who won, Olivia, who was a catfish, being played by Brandon, eliminated one of her strongest allies on the last day. They had the last elimination, and because of it, they ended up winning. Also, shout out to QT and Poppy Fuego, who are dating now, which is interesting. Here's the other thing. Anytime we talk about these reality shows, things, we know people are going on there at least potentially for some of their own personal clout. They want their 12.5 minutes of internet fame to try and leverage it to turn it into a couple bucks on their Instagram account. So Tres Fuegos are doing a lot of TikToks. And here's the thing. I don't like the word cringe. There's a couple words I don't like. One of them is cringe. So I'm not going to say their stuff is cringe. I'm just going to say, look, I know their content is not for me. The vast majority of TikTok is not for me. And that's fine, right? Like, I'm not mad at it. I get it. It's not for me. And so those 3 are doing a lot of content creation right now. And again, you got to strike while the iron. So I'm not going to get mad at them. I do the same thing. I probably should be doing more social media to be pumping up all of our viewers, right? We mentioned the circle. We know we're going to get a couple extra 1,000 downloads and views because of that. We know that. All right, we talk about Super Mario 64. It's this speedrun super popular. We're getting a couple extra 1,000 views. We put some hashtags in the video when we post it. We talk about PokeRogue. It's still growing in popularity. We've got a bunch of content out early about PokeRogue. We know that, right? But again, it's just the stuff I'm interested in. Instead of going, like, let me tweet about it, let me Instagram about it, which I get is a big part of the world and people love it. And I'm not upset about it. It's weird that I do this and then don't do all of that. But anyways, so what else has happened here? The QT and Miles thing. So Miles really seems to always really like her. I'm not so sure it's mutual, but I'm really hopefully optimistic that it is mutual, because they seem really QT and Miles actually seem really cute together. What else have we seen? Oh, there's a few stories about Kyle coming out from his college days that are not showing him in such a great light. I'm not going to talk about it. Look it up yourselves if you're that interested. But here's the thing. I'm not going to go and judge because, again, it was a long time ago. Hopefully, he doesn't seem like that person the way he presented himself on the show or presents himself on his all social media now. So hopefully, if those stories are true, he's grown from them. That being said, with all of these people coming off these shows, some of them seem to be willing to do social media interviews with just about anyone. And sometimes I think to myself, Fujo, you are just about anyone. So I'm thinking I need to start getting my social media accounts up and running. I know I do have a Fujo account. I might have to make a Gaming Dad Fujo account and start messaging. There's a couple other people I wanted to talk to as well. And you know what? I think I'd be great at interviewing. So maybe we'll give that a try. Maybe it turns into nothing. Maybe it turns into something. Who knows? But that's all I got to say about Circle Season 6. A ton of fun. Lots of fun, silly twists. AI stuff was interesting, I thought. And it's also a really good change of pace. That's the other thing. I really like that it's a change of pace from a lot of the reality TV shows, because a lot of them are always relationship. You have to be in a couple, Love Island, Perfect Match, Too Hot to Handle, all this stuff, right? Which is why we liked The Mole so much, because it was just like cool, interesting physical challenges and mental challenges. Same with The Circle, right? It's not, and maybe there is some budding romance and Miles and QT get married and make beautiful babies together. I honestly hope they do. But I just like the fact that that's not the idea behind this reality show. Which is why, to me, again, it's just fun, brainless, escapism, which is fantastic. What other gaming stuff have we? Oh, Star Citizen. Yeah, we need to do this update. We need to mention this very quickly before we go. We're going to go soon. Don't worry, everyone. Star Citizen has now reached $700 million in fan funding before all of the original promised content has been implemented. We reported this at the 600 mil mark. I don't know when, a year ago, whatever it is. I feel like I'm going to be retiring by the time the content is all out for this game. It's going to get to $1 billion. It's going to get absolutely wild. I mean, the game's playable. It's in a playable state. It's just after that much development money, I don't know what you're expecting. And that's fine. People are enjoying it. People are still supporting it. Good for them. Good for everyone, right? You're supporting something you like. Your developer getting lots of money to make something you like. I guess all is well in the world. So what's the last thing we're going to talk about? Something. There are a few things, I think, in this world that really unite people. This world, I think, has become very confrontational. Overall, as a society, we've become confrontational. We've become very tribal, in a sense. People pick teams. I think sports is a great place to pick teams. The rest of the world, let's just we should all just try and love each other and leave the world a little bit better than how it was when we came into it. Few things really unite anywhere in this world and in this universe. Fewer things within sports. Within sports, people, even if you enjoy watching the same team, I might think one player is soft and should be traded for a bag of pucks. Someone else might think they need to give him more playing time and give him a big contract extension. Let's say you have bitter rivals between teams. We're watching the NHL playoffs right now. Lots of vile hatred spewed back and forth. Oh, it's just it gets disgusting. It gets nasty. But there's a moment that we've just experienced in this planet, in this world, that will unite everyone who's ever watched the game of baseball. Every baseball fan from every team will agree that when the MLB announced that umpire Angel Hernandez has retired, everyone let out a collective sigh, because he won't be umpiring any of our games ever again. No one ever showed up to watch an umpire call a baseball game. Ever. Except their family members. Which makes sense. Because they love them and they're proud of them. But somehow, all of us who are not Angel Hernandez's family members always knew when he was umpiring one of our baseball games. And we will all rest easy knowing he is now retired. And I really wish him a long, happy, peaceful, relaxing retirement. far, 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 far away from baseball. Cheers to a career that is now over. Angel Hernandez. And that's going to be it for this episode. I hope we brought a little peace, relaxation, insight into your life. I hope you're all doing well out there. Let me know what other great gaming dad games might be out there, like PokeRogue. You can jump in, jump out whenever you have time. It's fantastic. It's mobile based. It doesn't have to be mobile based, but or mobile based, browser based, and mobile based. Also, 2 bonuses right now. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe out there. Be good to each other. Hope you're doing well whenever, wherever you are. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening. And we will talk to you again sometime very, very soon. Bye-bye.